Hi everyone, thank you so much again for joining me today. And today I will be giving you some unique ideas for your wedding that your guests will absolutely love. When a couple get engaged, they want their wedding to look different to all of the other weddings that they've been at. So they want their celebration to stand out. So here are some of my ideas and different products and ways to entertain people that I have come across. And let's start off with the invitations. You know, your save the dates and your wedding invitations are the very first piece that your guests will see. So make this something that they will absolutely remember. Make it personal. Think about your personalities, both of your personalities. What you do for a living, maybe put that on the invite. Like recently I photographed a pilot just the other day actually, and their wedding invite was really cool. They had a map of the world and places that they had been together, and they had like a little motif of an aeroplane on the invite as well. And that was really, really cool and very personal to both of them. You could also commission a drawing of your venue. I see that quite a bit. And that can be really, really beautiful. And just have your name sort of put in calligraphy on it. And what's really nice actually with invites are sort of gold embossing or silver embossing onto the invite itself. And a drawing of the venue is actually really, really gorgeous. Go to the hotel. They might have a drawing of the hotel themselves, or you might just commission an illustrator to do it for you. But that's just a really nice thing to do. You can also have like a relationship timeline with a drawing of the two of you in the middle of the invite and nice places you've been to over the years, your favourite drink or things that you have done together. There's lots and lots and lots of personal ideas when it comes to making your own invites. But do make it personal. Like, as I said, it's the first thing they get to see from the wedding. Transport. Like this is one of my favourites, actually. I have seen so many different cars over the years when it comes to, what vehicle brings the bride to the ceremony and what vehicle takes the two of them off. I see a lot of vintage cars, they're quite typical. But I also see cars that people decide to have a bit of fun with. There's like this cool bus that couples hire every now and again to put the entire bridal party on. And that is a bit of crack. I'd like to be on that bus myself, actually. So there's like Prosecco and beers and everything for the bridal party. And they just have the crack heading off to the wedding venue after the ceremony. I've seen like Back to the Future, the DeLorean. The lads love this actually. And we spent a lot of time around, fun cars like that, vintage bus style for the bridal party. I just spoke about that. And like alcohol. They love a little bit of alcohol. DIY with your place names. Yeah, you don't have to have mini cards with people's names on them if you don't want to. You can also use objects to make your own version of your decor elements. Like I've seen little pebbles on people's tables, which was really nice. And actually the couple, they do a lot of walking up and down, what's the beach? The Killiney Beach. And I know you're not supposed to take pebbles off beaches. I'm not telling people to do that, but that's what they did. And they collected pebbles over time. And what they did was they had their friend who does really nice calligraphy write everybody's name on the pebbles. And that was just really, really nice. I got nice photographs of those. Another, I suppose, place names that I have seen recently were like leaves, like a little green leaf. And there was like a gold pen. So somebody else in calligraphy wrote the guests' names on the leaves. And I just thought that was really, really cool. Confetti now. Confetti is just generally not allowed outside the church. I don't know how many signs I see around churches in particular saying absolutely no confetti. But if you do want to have confetti, there is an idea that I have, and I've seen it done, where the couple, collected sort of wildflowers out of their parents' garden, and they let them dry over time, over 3 or 4 weeks, and they made their own cones, and they put the confetti into the cones, and they literally just had the bridal party and the family members outside the ceremony, and they got them to throw confetti up in the air, and they were flowers, so they're biodegradable, and that's okay. Nobody's going to give out about that. But there is an alternative confetti if you don't want to have people throwing stuff in your hair. And something I saw actually in July last year at a ceremony was really cool. Everybody was given these sort of sticks going into the ceremony, and it was just like a long stick. And out of the top of the stick, there were lovely gold and sort of ivory coloured ribbons. They were really, really nice. And the idea was that when the bride and groom walked back down the aisle when they were married, everybody start waving these sticks in the air. And I got some amazing photographs, and it was a lovely idea, and it's an alternative to using confetti. There's other ways of doing it as well, think of, personalise that if you want to. But I thought that was a cool idea, and they got to take those away with them, and the couple's name was on the end of the stick too, which was lovely. Speaking of personalising, actually, there are so many ways to personalise your wedding day. Think of the groom and his cufflinks. You can get his name embossed or engraved onto the cufflink. I actually did that for our wedding day. I bought Martin some lovely silver cufflinks because they sort of went with this suit. And I had his name, his initial on one side of the cufflink, and on the other side of the cufflink, I had my initial. And he wears them every year on the 7th of November. That's our anniversary. And he loves his cufflinks. So there's loads of ways of personalising items on the wedding day. Like you can personalise your suit. I always recommend, if you can afford it, that the groom gets a bespoke suit made for himself for the big day. This is something that can be worn again and again. And I cannot recommend Louis Copeland's for this enough. Dave from Louis Copeland is amazing. And if you want to personalise your suit, I would absolutely, or get a suit made, I would absolutely go in to see him. There's another company called Celtic Tweed that I have come across recently. And they are an Irish-based company, and they're absolutely unbelievable. So they're the two recommendations I would go with there. But it is lovely to have your suit custom made, and you'll have it forever. The table plan, I see lots and lots and lots of different ways to organise a table plan. But one of the coolest ones I've seen recently were wine bottles, old wine bottles. And the couple had been saving their wine bottles and not throwing them out. And what they did was they obviously washed them and had them absolutely spotlessly clean. And they had labels then put onto each wine bottle related to, the particular table. And everyone's name was on the wine bottle. And they had like little flowers coming out of the top of each wine bottle. And it was really cool. And they put it on sort of like a little wooden ladder, like a sort of, somebody sort of scrubbed down this like little wooden ladder and repainted it. And it looked really cool with all the wine bottles on. And that was just a lovely way of doing the table plan. And everyone was talking about it. The guests were all talking about it. Personalising your wedding cake topper. I do get to see this a lot. And it's just a lovely way, again, of making your wedding cake topper personal to the two of you. So there's so many different ways you can do it. And Etsy have some amazing companies on there. All you have to do is find the right company that you like. You do send over photographs of the two of you and also a description of what you're wearing on the day. So you just sort of have to tell them what the wedding dress is going to look like and what the suit is going to look like and the colours and all that kind of stuff. And they can look really cool. I've even seen ones with, the couple with their little dog and their cat. So you can have it whatever way you want because they just make it from scratch. Creating your own playlist. I love this. Just, get together, decide on what songs the two of you like and ask, people in the immediate sort of group, like your bridal party, your close friends, to send you on 5 songs each that they really, really like. And then get that playlist together and send it off to your DJ just for some inspiration so that the DJ knows kind of what type of music the guests know. Obviously, the DJ will know what to play and hopefully will be good at keeping the dance floor full. But it's also nice to give the DJ some inspiration for sort of what everybody likes to dance to, including a family wedding dress. Now, I'm not telling the brides to go and wear your mother's wedding dress here or your grandmother's wedding dress. But what I am saying is it is really lovely to have a piece of your grandmother's dress or your favorite person's wedding dress, like your godmother or your mother, and just have a little piece taken off the wedding dress and have it sewn onto the inside of your own wedding dress. It's just a really, really nice thing to do. And I actually saw it recently, where my bride had a piece of her grandmother's dress, and her grandmother had passed away, and she just wanted a little piece of her with her on the day. And it was just a small piece of material cut into the shape of a love heart. And it was just over on the left-hand side, on the inside of her wedding dress. And it was lovely. And she sort of felt that she was close to her heart all day. I mentioned this recently where, a groom's father had passed away. And what he had was like one of those little, they're like brooches with the father's picture put on the inside. And there was a little pin to pin it onto the inside of a suit. And I actually put that on the inside of a suit on the left-hand side. So again, he had him close to his heart all day. So there's lots of ways of, personalising things on a wedding day and keeping somebody close to you who has passed away. This is lovely. I saw this recently. Personalising notes to your guests. It's a bit of a time-consuming job, and it's where the two of you sit down and write a little note to each one of your guests. And it can be something that they have done for you in the past that you made you smile, or it can be just how you feel about them and why you've invited them to your wedding and why they're important to you. And it's just gorgeous. And have your photographer in there when the guests sit down, and they sit down and, they're sitting at the place where they've been put. And there's a little note on the table for them. And it can also, be their place name too. But Jesus, it was lovely. I did it a little while ago and people were crying and everything. I got the most amazing photographs. People didn't even know the camera was on them. So have your photographer close by to snap all those tears. Writing your own vows. Now, this isn't always an okay thing to do, especially if you're getting married in a church. But I have seen it done. And Martin and I wrote our own vows and it was lovely. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. And it is lovely. It's a very, very special thing that you can do for each other. So if the ceremony allows it, I would absolutely be doing that. Heading on back down to where everybody's having their meal, it's lovely to have like a little shot on the table if that's something you're into. Like I said, people do like to have a little bit of alcohol on a wedding day. And what's really nice is you can put your favourite spirit into the little shot bottle, and you can use the mini shot bottles as your wedding favours as well. Everyone loves this idea. Pop a little label on it. You can buy these again from Etsy and they say, take a shot, we tied the knot. That's kind of really nice. And they're lovely to photograph as well, by the way. Board games on the tables at the drinks reception. Love this idea. This is a great way to get guests who don't necessarily know each other to mingle with each other and to have a bit of a laugh. And again, some incredible photographs can be taken at this point by your photographer. Your little people. So you all know that I absolutely love kiddies. When I'm not shooting weddings, I'm photographing children in my studio. And I love to see the kids on the day of a wedding, but they do get bored, okay? And they get bored quite quickly depending on their age group. So you can hire a professional team if you can afford that to entertain them, or you can have garden games for them during the drinks reception. But I think what's really essential is when it comes to dinner time that you have activities for them at the dinner table to keep them occupied, like, colouring books, and stuff for them to play with. Again, great photographs to be had there, but just it's all about keeping them entertained so that they're not running around the place and making lots of noise. And wedding venues don't like children running all around the place, especially when hot food has been put down on people's tables. So think of ways to entertain the kids when they sit down for the dinner. Pimp your Prosecco. This is a great idea. Love this. Guests love the chance to customise their own drinks. And pimping your Prosecco bars are becoming really popular. But you can also apply this principle to different drinks. Like I also see an awful lot of gin tables. And you can pop in whatever, I suppose, accompaniment, is that the right word? That you put in with your gin. And these, again, are really, really nice to photograph and The guests love it. Get really creative with the evening food. This is again getting really popular. If you can afford this and if the hotel or the wedding venue are into it, guests get really hungry later on. I mean, the dinner will fill them, but then later on when they've had another couple of drinks and the speeches are over and the first dance has happened, people start getting a little bit hungry. So pizzas are a really good idea, and taco bar food is really, really popular. And it also looks incredible. Sparklers. Now, I do love an old sparkler shot. And a lot of the time at the end of a couple's wedding gallery, a sparkler shot is really gorgeous. And if it's done properly, it can be fabulous. However, there are times where it can be quite dangerous. And this is really important to take this on board. People would say to me, but sparklers are not dangerous. They bloody well are dangerous. When you light a sparkler, the rod of a sparkler gets really, really hot. I don't know how many blouses I've had burnt and have burn marks all over them from sparklers, because I'm sort of in the middle and I'm photographing this happening. And people kind of have the sparklers in the air. But sometimes you get somebody who's had a few drinks on them and they're waving them around and it might touch off me or touch off somebody else. So you've got to be very, very careful. I had an aunt once upon a time who took a load of sparklers out of the bucket that was provided to keep them in. And she took them all up and she lit them all together. I thought she took a load of them to hand them out to people, but she didn't. She took those for herself. And there was about 15 sparklers and she lit them all together. And I'm there ready to photograph the couple coming through and everyone has the sparklers in the air and I see this big flare and it was like a big flame and I thought the dress was going to go up and I just got really annoyed. I was like, stop. And the bride was about to walk through and there was kind of bits of flames coming off the sparklers. So honestly, if you're going to do it, here are my tips. Give somebody the job to hand out those sparklers. Give one sparkler per person. And the other thing to consider, and if you're doing sparklers, this is essential. Have enough lighters to light the sparklers because a lot of people don't smoke and they won't have a lighter on them. And you can get those, those lighters, you can get them in the Euro shop for I think €2 just by, if you've got 30 sparklers, buy 15 of them because you'll need them. And then just give that person the job to give them out and make sure that everybody's sparkler is lit when the couple are walking through. Get them to stay, a good bit apart from each other and just be safe, And what I do after the sparkler shot is taken, I go around and take those sparklers off everyone so that they're not, thrown around on the ground afterwards because the venue will not thank you for that. Another way of personalising for the couple, I suppose, to involve your little doggy. Get your little doggy involved if you have a dog. Recently again, just before Christmas, I had a dog who turned up at the hotel afterwards with an aunt. And the dog had been groomed and everything that morning. The couple had no idea that the doggy was coming. And the bride started crying when she saw her dog. And it was just lovely. And I was able to get some photographs of the couple with the dog. The main thing is, if you're deciding to bring the dog, obviously have the dog groomed because you don't want to ruin your wedding dress if he's got muck all over him or she's got muck all over her. And it's just a lovely way of including your doggy on the wedding day. There's loads of things you can do with the dog on a wedding day. I've photographed weddings where the dog has come up the aisle with like the rings around the neck. Generally, they're not allowed to do that in a church, by the way. It's generally at a wedding venue. But there are lots of ways that you can include the doggies. But the main thing is most of the wedding venues won't allow dogs in and around the wedding venue itself. So you nearly have to get somebody to bring the dog to the ceremony or after the ceremony and then bring it home again. Drinks, reception, food. Instead of choosing canapes, think about food that you both might like and that you think your guests might like to have too. Chat with your wedding venue and see if they can change things up a little bit for you. It's all about communication between you and the wedding venue here now, because it may not be an okay thing to ask for an oyster bar. Personally now, I don't like oysters, can't even look at them. But people do like oysters. And recently I did see like an oyster stand and the guests were loving it. But there's ways that you can kind of pimp up the drinks, reception, food. So if that's what you want to do, have a chat with the venue. Now, this is something I absolutely love. It's the flower man as opposed to the flower girl. Oh, stop. I did a ceremony down in Druids Glen recently. and the couple had a flower man, and he was just hilarious. Like, he was part of the groomsmen, but he came up the aisle just in front of the bride and her dad, and it was hilarious. He had a little pouch around his waist full of little petals, and he was doing all sorts of dance moves and throwing the petals at people, and it was just brilliant. He had a pair of shades on him, and the whole place just erupted in laughter. And it was just a great way of entertaining the guests, getting them to have a bit of a laugh just before the bride walked up the aisle with her dad. And it was just incredible. I got the most amazing photographs. I've so many other ideas though, and I will do another podcast very soon and give you more ideas for your wedding day. But if you have any ideas that you want to send me, please do, and please send them over to me on my Instagram page. Send me a DM to Jenny McCarthy 8. And and that's it for today. But I will definitely see you back here next week.